Now back to the show. This is AM 650's The Law Show.
On this episode of The Law Show, Scott Stanley and Diana Robertson from Murphy Batista LLP are with us in studio, and we've been talking about the whole show for a surprising amount of time today about a shortage of lawyers in British Columbia. This came as rather shocking news to me, and I'm certainly a lot of people listening to us right now. Oh, come on! There's no such thing as a shortage of lawyers in BC. But Scott has given us, well, quite an illustration of the reasons why there are shortages of lawyers. Diana is a brand new lawyer just coming into the profession out of UBC Law School. And with all of this, how do you plan, I guess, knowing now, as Scott has told us, Diana, that most lawyers who make it into the profession in the first place, there's a huge dropout rate in the first 5 years because of a lot of pressures from different areas. How do you plan to spend your first 5 years knowing that that's likely or could happen to make sure that that doesn't happen in your case?
Well, I'm keeping my OT certification. I think more than anything, I think I've had maybe some more life experience than some of the young lawyers coming out. And I've run my own business. I've incorporated. I've sold businesses. So, I have a little bit more of that understanding of what the business side of it is like.
Right.
And so I think going into it, I was pretty realistic in terms of my expectations, in terms of, I'm actually articling has felt, I want to say easy, because I shouldn't say that to my boss. But when I was in law school, I still ran my clinical practice as a therapist. So I was going to law school full-time and working.
Okay.
So this last year has felt like a breath of fresh air.
I'll bet it has.
So for me, I'm not too worried about that. But I think for kind of, say, younger people coming out who maybe haven't had those experiences, I think the important thing is to think a little bit long term and to get through those first couple years.
And Scott, you're a 20-year vet now, and you have spent a great deal of time explaining to our listeners today some of the negative things that drive some people out of the profession, and yet we can't just let it sit there because I mentioned just, somebody listening who might have a nephew or a niece or a granddaughter interested in the legal profession. You don't want to discourage people like that. So talk to us about that, getting past that first 5 years where all the steep learning curve and the really taxing hours and what lies beyond.
Right. And again, I want to encourage more people into the profession. And I can honestly say, Sterling, every day that I've gone to work, I've been doing this for almost 20 years. I've never had a coffee break. I've never wanted one. I'm excited to get to work. I feel a little remorseful when I have to leave for the day. I'm usually tired, but I feel a little unhappy that I have to go. I'm excited to come back from a holiday. It's really worth it if you just get over that 5-year hump.
Right.
And when I became a lawyer, and when my oath was administered to me, my principal said to me, "Look, you're going to embark upon you're going to go through a desert of despair. You have to be a camel. You're going to go through periods of time where you're not going to feel like you've done anything, because these cases take a long time."
Sure.
But the reality is there's nothing better in the world, Sterling, when you phone a client after juries are returned a verdict and you say, "Guess what? You won."
Mm-hmm.
There's no better feeling in the world than that. And in fact, when I do my cases now, I usually always have a junior lawyer with me, and I always let them deliver the good news, and it's usually good news.
I'll bet.
And it's what sustains you.
Now, one other thing that your principal or mentor told you when he administered your oath, as an also a little pearl of wisdom you passed along to Diana the other day when you administered her oath, and it was about people that you may encounter that may not immediately grab your sympathies. Talk to us a little bit about that one line. It's a great line.
Right. What my principal said to me, and it's his name was David Bryan. He became a judge, and he's now deceased. So he's a brilliant man, and he's a lovely man. And what he said to me was, you're going to come across people that don't attract your sympathy, and those are the ones that need the most of your attention. People will feel sorry for a young mother who's lost her husband and is a widow. Those people get sympathy,
right.
But it's the person who doesn't attract your sympathy. Those are the people that need your attention, and those are the people you need to focus on. And it's served me well, and it's so true. And I've passed that advice on to Diana before I took her oath.
Mm-hmm. And did it make sense, Diana?
Absolutely, and it really just falls in line with my background as a therapist. The people who do well, the people who recover from an injury, usually without any complications, are the people who, they're, people with a lot going on without a lot of other issues.
Right.
It's the people who are kind of have some other outstanding issues who need our help the most.
Right.
They're complex. They, maybe they weren't coping that well before, and this is kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back for them.
When you go to speak to student groups, and I know you do from time to time, Scott, you're a personal injury lawyer. You've made a very conscious decision to go to this specific area of legal practice. What do you tell them about why you chose personal injury, and why, perhaps, if they haven't considered that area of the law before, perhaps they should?
Well, it gives you, we don't have enough time to tell you why I think it works for me. And it doesn't work for everybody.
I know.
It doesn't work for everybody. But why it works for me is you basically get to help people. And, there's no limits on what you can do to help them. You get to be creative. You come to the office one day and you never know what's going to be there. I don't know if you've seen that movie Gladiator, where Russell Crowe and a bunch of other people are huddled in the middle of the Coliseum, and he says, I don't know what we're fighting tomorrow, but let's just focus on what's coming through the door today.
Right, right.
And our job is like that. You just basically, what is coming through that door today, it's exciting, you never know what it's going to be, and you get to deal with it. And you have these clients that are fully appreciative of what you do.
So if the news and if the take-home message from this episode of The Law Show, friends, is there's a shortage of lawyers in our province, that can be a positive bit of news, especially for young people in your life that may be considering the legal profession. The advice from our two lawyers from Murphy Battista is encourage them. By all means, encourage those young people. Diana Robertson and Scott Stanley, thanks for coming by. Congratulations to you again. Best of luck with Murphy Battista, Diana.
Thank you.
Scott, we'll see you again soon.
Thank you, Sterling.
That's it for The Law Show this time. Stand by for the Redhead coming up next.